It was an ordinary novel with elements of fantasy, the main character of which was the youngest daughter of the Earl of Horen. It would seem that being the youngest daughter, she should have grown up in love and care. But no matter how it is, her family made her life hell. Lucien, who had no choice but to get angry at the whole world, went to a better world. The truth revealed before her end made Lucien regret that she had lived with an angry heart. But it was too late to change anything. However, the main character now does not understand why she ended up in this damn book, and even in the body of Lucien Oren. Before she ended up here, she was an ordinary person, although she was a little cooler than a typical office worker. But the last thing she remembers is how she returned home from work and saw the blinding light of headlights. But as you can see, she is here now. The girl thinks that this is simply unrealistic, but she remembers that in the book, Lucien was resurrected almost immediately. She returned to the past, remembering everything she learned before her end. As a result, she was able to correct her mistakes and take revenge on everyone she wanted. The ending turned out to be quite good, but the main character now understands what got there even before she returned to the past. And according to the plot, the girl there is doomed to plunge into eternal sleep. The last thing she remembers is the accident, which means in reality, she is no longer alive. The young lady thinks that she is lucky that she got there because she did not have time to do so much, since these were her best years. She is also happy that she knows the plot, because at the moment, the situation is more like Lucien already knows everything, rather than Lucien's first life. It turns out that there is no need to return to the past because she can begin to take revenge now. The young lady understands that although it will not be easy, she needs to cope with it. First, she needs to understand at what point in Lucien's first life she is now. Well, the girl sighs and thinks how hungry she is. She understands that this won't work, because as they say, food comes first, and then everything else. Gaze falls on the bell, and she understands the state of the bell for calling the servants. So the girl decides to take it in her hands and check if someone will come. She realizes that she cannot remain idle and hopes that there will be normal food there. Legion's maid, Riani, peeks out from behind the door and asks if her mistress called her. The main character says that she is hungry and asks when she will be served food. And she herself thinks that it's funny because the maid actually came after she called. The girl is a little puzzled. She asks if her mistress understands her, but Legion interrupts her and asks what she should understand, and also whether someone ordered her to starve. The maid is shocked by such words. She says that of course not. Then the young lady asks what's the matter. The maid replies that Count Bane and Panthea are now having dinner in the dining room. The maid says that she thinks she can serve it for her separately after the Count finishes the meal. The young lady looks at her coldly and asks if she can't just join them. The maid says that of course she can if she wants. The Silver Lady realizes that this girl is Lucien Rioni's servant. She is the only one in that house who treated Lucien normally. Of the servants and other residents, she was the only one who did not despise or ignore Lucien. The main character understands that it would be nice to remain allies with her because she is also such a cutie, but now she is very worried. The maid asks if the mistress wants anything else, and she tells her to take her to the dining room. When the young lady arrives at the dining room door, the servants inform his lordship that Madame Lucien has arrived. On the way there, the main character did not escape the sidelong glances of the servants. As in the book, they are really quite rude, but the most important thing for her now is food. So the lady with the amber eyes comes into the dining room and greets his lordship. She looks into his eyes and thinks what a powerful look he has. The father asks why she came there. Lucien notices that he is indifferent, and his manner of speech is very arrogant, even taking into account the fact that his beloved wife died shortly after Lucien gave birth. This man seems to not consider her his own daughter. Now the main character says that she was hungry, and that's why she came. But they only ask her if she came to eat in this form. Then the young lady realizes that she is wearing pajamas. The rest of the family mocks her. The daughter tells her father to forgive the girl because her sister has been a bit of a fool since birth, and the son says that only this can explain the fact that she came to dinner in this form. The young lady is shocked that these are pajamas because the clothes are quite elegant. The father tells her to change her clothes and come down, because how can she walk around the estate in this form? The lady with amber eyes thinks how infuriating this is, and then says that she doesn't want to. The father and the others are shocked. He asks what she just said, and the young lady repeats once again that she doesn't want to. She claims that she is too cold to go change clothes and does not think that there is a need for this because she was just going to eat. The girl also says that her father is obsessed with etiquette and manners, but in her opinion, his lordship behaves disgustingly towards his daughter. The count hits the table and screams furiously that the girl has lost her mind. The main character simply answers yes to this. This is obvious because the Korean Jong-yoon and Lee Jun from this world are completely different people. Therefore, the young lady claims that she has gone crazy. The father screams, "How dare she?" The count's daughter asks Togo to calm down because he might cry. And the main character at this time, he thinks what she is talking about because she has a reputation of complete rubbish. The girl asks Riani to set the table for her. The maid says that she never dined with her family. The main character just grins and says that she, of course, is a terrible daughter, but asks if her father really wants to starve her to death. She also asks what will happen if rumors spread and what people will think. The count's son screams, "How dare she say such a thing to his father?" The count himself only says that this is enough and orders the table to be set. The young lady thinks how predictable this is, because most of all in the world, the count is worried about what others think about him. The girl starts the meal and thinks how poor Lecien is, because there was no one there who could understand her. The count's daughter says that this is outrageous, because the father has not even touched the food yet. She claims that she understands that the girl is ignorant, but still, this is too much, son of a count. Tell me, where did she pick up such manners? But the main character understands that anyone who has read this book will be able to answer that the count never taught Lecien anything. Moreover, he showed no interest in her at all. He began to notice her only after she became the bride of the crown prince. There are two dangers on Lecien's path. The first of them is a wedding with the crown prince, because this wedding should not happen, because it is a direct path to the infamous end. And the second danger is the count's betrayal, because even if the girl prevents Annie's engagement and becomes the wife of the crown prince, the count is unlikely to stop. But the girl wonders if she can live this life without worrying every second that she might be in danger if she survives these two events safely. The girl dreams of a life in which she will avoid a tragic end. She stretches out her hand to the flowers and thinks that if this is possible, then she will happily tear out the sprout of betrayal from the count's heart and open the path to happiness even if she ends her life unloved. According to the plot, if a girl falls into eternal sleep one day, she will be able to return to the past. It will be better for us if she decides everything in this life, so the young lady thinks about what is best for her to do. All these thoughts do not allow the main character to fall asleep. She thinks what is wrong, so they decide to get out of bed and do some light stretching. But in the reflection of the window, she sees a stand with swords, and then approaches it. Looking at the blade, the girl thinks that it would be nice to learn how to use a sword, because this way she can protect herself. But she doesn't even want to think that she will have to use the sword at a wedding or against her father, so she needs to think about it carefully. The young lady decides that she can now go to bed. But in the morning, when the first rays of the sun fall into Lecien's room, a mug of tea is immediately poured on her. The main character asks, "What does this mean?" And her sister only says with a grin that she has the same question for her, because how dare a girl behave like that at the table? She also asks if Lecien thought she would get away with it. The main character only asks what she did. In response to this, her sister clenches her fists and tells her to tone down, and the young lady tells her that she is not going to tolerate their mockery. In the book, this girl constantly mocked Lecien. Because of her, Lecien suffered the most. Her name is Panthea Huren. The same can be said about Bane. Thanks to him, insults and threats were an integral part of Lecien's life. The young lady thinks about where she should start and tells her sister who she could learn such manners from. After this, Panthea furiously shouts that he will finish Lecien. The servants hear this scream and run into the room, but what they see there shocks them. The main character is standing all wet in tea, while her sister is sitting on the floor near an overturned table. The main character tells the servants that her sister apparently ate something wrong today, and maybe they should show her to the doctor because she seems very unwell. After which she looks at her sister and asks if this is true. Panthea thinks her sister won't just get away with this. When all the fuss has passed, the main character asks her maid why she came running. Rayani is a little shy and says that she heard screaming and got worried, but if everything is fine, she will go. The main character says that the maid did the right thing by coming and asks where her savings are kept. After that, they go to the market. Rayani thinks what to do because her mistress hates crowded places, and if she runs into someone, then all hell breaks loose. The girl tells her mistress that it can be dangerous there and asks her to be careful. The main character turns around and says, "Okay." The maid blushes a little from this. It seems to her that her heart is in danger, and Li Xian asks if she came too close. After the maid says no, she takes her arm and says that this way they won't get lost. A young lady asks in Rayani if she will take her to the gun shop. When she is already choosing a sword for herself, the maid says that it is not proper for a noble lady to hold a weapon in her hands, and the shopkeeper asks what the mistress is for with this weapon. He says that if this is a sword for protection, then he can choose a suitable option, but the lady with amber eyes says that the sword is intended for her. She holds a weapon in her hands and says that this sword will suit her, after which she tells Rayani to settle accounts. The maid is trying to dissuade her mistress because holding a sword in her hands is impermissible for a woman from the upper classes, but the young woman says that she seemed to have told her to pay. After this, on the way, the maid asks if the lady really needed a sword. The main character says yes, and the maid asks what will happen if his lordship finds out Li Xian claims he won't mind. But suddenly they hear cries for help. When a lady with silver hair looks into an alley, she sees a couple of guys trying to take the girl's money. The girl says that she really has no money, but the two strangers don't believe it. They ask if she really has nothing, because if they kill her, they will earn at least 10 gold pieces. If she hides them in her boots, she better get them. The maid is a little scared and tells her mistresses that it would be better for them to leave young lady. You understand that it might be better to just pass by because now she needs to avoid any danger. Well, she thinks that it was not in vain that she studied martial arts all this time. Therefore, he approaches the guys and asks if they are ashamed to attack a defenseless girl. The main character simply cannot pass by. Strangers say that such a noble lady as Hei had better go where she was going and not interfere in their affairs. The young lady understands that these are the words of typical scum. She even hates to hear it. She asks the little girl if she did anything wrong. The girl says she was just passing by and bumped into them. The main character pats her on the head and concludes that those strangers are bad guys, which means they only understand in a bad way. The main character rolls up her sleeves with a furious look. A couple of minutes later, one of the guys asks her to stop. Li Xian turns around and sees that the onlookers have already started running, so she really should stop. Suddenly, she catches the eye of someone from the crowd. He is a pleasant-looking guy with black hair. The main character turns around and thinks, why is he staring so much because it's embarrassing? Then Li Xian looks at the girl. With a kind smile, she asks if she was very scared and says that everything is fine now. The girl says that she was a little scared, but the young lady was inimitable. She thanks her for her help. After that, they say goodbye, and the main character and her maid are about to leave. But they are stopped by the same guy from the crowd. He asks for forgiveness and asks if he can find out her name. The main character looks at him and realizes that this guy looks like a knight and also thinks whether he wants to arrest her, so she asks why he needs her name. The guy says that it seemed to him that the young lady was good with a sword, and he would like to know if she had trained somewhere before. The lady with silver hair says that not really, but she herself thinks that there is hardly a comdo section there. The young man understands what she wants and does not answer, but her skills are amazing and she was also in a dress. Whether his eyes do not deceive him, the girl is a first-class fighter. The guy grins and says that this is very interesting. He thinks what an interesting girl she is. The lady with amber eyes looks at the guy and thinks what's wrong with him because he has such a strange expression on his face. The girl asks if he is going to arrest her, but he just grins and says that he's not going to. Then the main character says that's good, and she goes. When the girl leaves, she hears voices from behind. Someone approaches this guy and asks His Excellency if the guys are unconscious and asks what to do with them. The young man says to arrest them. He hopes to meet Milady soon. This turns out to be Duke Stefan Karnan. The main character at this time goes to her father's office. She thinks that this is something urgent, since her father calls her to him as soon as she returns. Lately, the girl has been behaving disgustingly, and he hardly wants to please her with good news. She opens the door and sees her father there. The young lady asks if he slept with her, after which he sits down on a chair and asks what happened, and then they offer to get straight to the point. The Count asks if there is a reason for just seeing each other, but the main character says that he has never called her before, without a reason. Then the father says that from now on she should refrain from shameless antics. The lady with silver hair asks why she should do this, or if he decided to marry her off. But then a realization comes to her, and the Count says that he called her for a reason, and then claims that the wedding with the crown prince will take place. He says that his daughter said that she would do anything for her and asks if she remembers. The main character remembers that in the book Lecienne made such a promise. The Count couldn't offer Panthea is in this place because she has already been married and divorced. And for Lecienne, who fell in love with the prince at first sight, this was a chance for a happy life. But the lady with amber hair thinks that her father cannot manipulate her so easily, so he says to call off the wedding. The Count, shocked by this, asks what she said, because a couple of days ago she said that she would definitely marry him. He claims that he even got the king's permission and then asks if she knows how hard it was. The main character doesn't seem very bothered by this and says that of course you can't answer, how would she know? She also claims that she was fascinated by his appearance, but now realizes that she made her decision too quickly. The Count says he will pretend he didn't hear anything, but the lady with silver hair just grins. She says that her father heard everything perfectly. He in a rage asks how dare she, and says that they understand what he did wrong. But the young lady only claims that there is talk that children are a reflection of their parents and then asks who she is. The Count clenches his fists and screams that she is impudent. The girl only asks if he will beat her too, and the Count just calls the butler and shouts to him to quickly take this scoundrel to her chambers. The father screams that from now on she will not go anywhere without his permission, and then orders the knights to take her away. The knights agree, and the main character thinking that this is just funny and why on earth should she listen to him. The young lady asks what she did and why did her father decide to lock her up. She also asks her if he beat her because of the upcoming wedding. After which he says with sarcasm that I thank him and asks if I should bow to him. The Count screams for them to remove her from his eyes and asks if they are deaf. The main character, Zhenya, can just tolerate it. Her gaze falls on the scabbard of one of the knights. The girl takes out a sword from them and points it at her father. She claims that she is not going to sit quietly locked up. The Count asks what a non-entity like her can do to him. The young lady asks what he thinks she can do. After which, Lecienne points the blade at himself and says that he understands perfectly well that he will not defeat anyone in this room. And she herself thinks why everything is going awry again. Of course, she can return to the past, but it's too early for that. The young lady understands that she must use this chance to show that she should not be treated this way, so she hurts herself. Everyone is shocked by this, but Lecienne herself seems pleased. Her vision begins to blur, and she falls unconscious. The Count asks, what the hell is going on? The main character wakes up already in her chambers. The first thing she sees is her maid. The girl looks at her excitedly. The silver-haired lady tries to get up, but the maid says she can't get up yet. The main character says that it's okay and everything is fine, but he hears some sobs. She turns around and sees that Riani's eyes are full of tears. The young lady pulls her closer to her. She hugs her maid and asks why she is crying because she always pisses everyone off, and also asks, doesn't Riani hate her? The brown-haired woman says that just a little Kedis with silver hair says that this is wonderful, because if she had said that she hated, she would have decided that the girl was a spy. She smiles and says that in any case, she is completely fine, so she asks Riani not to cry. She says that the maid seems to be the only one who even cares about her and thanks her. This is the first time the girl has seen the mistress be so kind to someone. She now understands what it's like to feel like someone is on your side, so she doesn't have to think about the bad. The maid wants this moment to last forever. She is also grateful to the mistress. The next day, she comes to the mistress again and sees that she is already walking around the room. The girl says the young lady can't get up yet, but the main character only says that normally Riani can rest today, but just let him prepare her dress for going out, because today she is heading to the palace. When the girl is already in the carriage, she sighs and thinks that she barely got out. It's not so easy to escape from this maid. Then the main character remembers that recently she always went out with her, But she doesn't know what the crown prince will do when he finds out about the cancellation of the wedding, and she might even faint. So she needs to be careful. The main character reports that they have arrived. The lady with silver hair understands that the once enraged count calmly let her go, which means she wasn't waving her sword in vain. But now she must not let her guard down. The girl asks one of the maids where the crown prince is now, and also whether he has gone somewhere because he is not in his office. The maid replies that he is now on a walk in the garden and asks if he should accompany her, but the lady with amber eyes says that there is no need and she will come on her own. The girl thinks that she barely managed to escape there, so she needs to sort it out completely and return home. But when she comes to the garden, she can't find His Highness. She thinks who even came up with the idea of making such huge gardens. But suddenly, she hears some sounds and looks out of the bushes and sees the prince having a nice conversation with another girl. She understands that that girl is Narya Scrone. Her mother was a commoner, and although Narya was adopted by Count Scarin, being labeled a commoner does not give her the right to take her place next to the crown prince. In the original story, Narya was basking in the love of the prince, so Licien hated her and spoke rather rudely about her. But now everything is different because she doesn't care about this. But he only asks why she came because she could have gotten by with a letter. The main character, you understand that this could have been done, but the count could have intercepted him, so she had to come. Suddenly someone puts a hand on the main character's back and tells her that she shouldn't be there. The girl turns around and the guy says that he will take her to the exit. The lady with the amber eyes says she didn't know. She thinks how he scared her. The girl says that she must definitely meet the prince because I have something to tell him. The brunette says that this does not give her the right to disturb him now. It turns out to be Stefan. The lady with silver hair asks if she can't do this even if she is his fiancée. The brunette now understands what's going on and asks if she is Licien Oren, because if that's the case that changes everything. But he says that he still needs to get permission from His Highness, so she should wait a little. And then he says his name is Stefan Kernan. The main character lifts the hem of her dress and apologizes for the intrusion. She doesn't remember him having a significant role in the book, but he's still a duke, so it's better to maintain good relations. The main character says that she is glad to meet you. Then the duke says that he will immediately report her to His Majesty. The guy understands that the girl is not like in the rumors. She doesn't look like an ill-mannered, rude person at all. Then the duke approaches the crown prince and whispers in his ear. Then the blonde nods his head, after which the duke brings in a lady with silver hair. She greets His Highness. The girl asks to listen to her, and she promises that she will never bother him again. But the prince just looks at his beloved and says that he will listen to what she has to say. And then he asks Narya where they stopped, and the main character understands that this bastard is not going to listen to her. But the prince looks a little shocked when she says she wants to end the marriage. He asks in surprise what she said, and the girl says that the wedding hasn't happened yet, and they can just cancel the engagement. The prince says that as far as he knows, she insisted on her. Well, the main character says that it was a mistake because she fell for his pretty appearance. The prince cries out whether she thinks she is going beyond all limits, and the duke cannot stop laughing at this. But he immediately clears his throat and turns away. The main character asks her to forgive her because she didn't want to seem rude, but just thought that she needed to tell him the whole truth. He tells the girl to forgive him, but he will pretend that he didn't hear anything because he wants this wedding to take place. The young lady looks at Narya and thinks how he can say such things in front of his beloved. She tells the girl not to think that the prince has any feelings for Licien. The young lady says not to worry, and when the girl looks at her, Licien thinks what a poor thing she is. She understands that it will be wonderful if Narya becomes the wife of the crown prince. Even though she is a commoner adopted by the count, if she gives birth to a son for the prince, they will not be able to kick her out. The main character says that she will also pretend that she didn't hear anything, and then she says that she has to go and wishes the prince a good day. In any case, the blonde is now confused, and the young lady thinks that this will be enough for a start. After this, the main character leaves, but she does not understand why the duke followed her. So the girl turns around and asks if he has anything to do. The brunette says that there is, but he will somehow find time to walk her to the carriage. The young lady agrees and tells him that he can do as he pleases. and he says that on the way he would like to ask her something and wonders if she will allow it. After which the guy asks if she really fell in love with the crown prince because he is handsome. The lady with amber eyes says that this is true, but making a wedding decision based only on this was definitely a mistake, because he doesn't even like her, and he already has a lover. Then the young man asks what would happen if he liked her. The main character turns around, and the Duke asks if Lesienne would marry the crown prince. The girl thinks why he puts her in an awkward position with such questions. She says she doesn't know the reason for his curiosity, but suggests leaving it at that, because she doesn't understand him at all. Stefan just nods, and the lady with silver hair thinks how good it is that he let go. Now the main character is in her estate and thinks that she doesn't know him at all. The girl rings the bell and the maid comes to her. The maid asks if Madame Lesienne called her, but the main character only asks her why she came and where Riani is. The maid looks away and says that Riani was called by Mrs. Panthea, that's why. But the main character doesn't ask her to finish why she has a bad feeling because Panthea hates Lesienne, so it may well mock her maid. And considering that she wasn't at home today, even more so, the main character orders to be escorted to her sister's chambers. When she arrives, Panthea asks who is there, but the main character only enters her room and says that it is she, Lesienne. Her sister shuts up the maid and asks why she came because as she can see she's a little busy right now. The lady with silver hair asks what it all means. Her sister looks away and says that the maid is all Lesienne and is completely unmannered, so she decided to teach her a couple of lessons. The main character asks, isn't everyone in this castle like that? And besides, she doesn't believe that Riani could have behaved inappropriately. Panthea says that her sister is still the same, and they should have started with her. Lesienne says that she is looking forward to it, and her sister thinks that she is becoming more and more rude to her. The main character takes her hand from the maid and says that if she has complaints against Riani, someone can safely express them to her instead of mocking the maid while she is not in the castle. As the two of them leave, the lady with silver hair asks if she thinks it's too mean. After that, he and the maid go out into the corridor. Looking with amber eyes, he asks if everything is okay. Riani says that everything is fine. She's fine, but the main character asks how good it could be. She picks up her maid and asks if she eats at all because she is like a feather. All the other maids look at them, and the main character continues and asks if she doesn't know that eating is vital. The maid looks at all these looks and asks the mistress to let her go, but the main character only tells her not to twitch. Then he orders the other maid not to stand there like a pillar and to open the door. When they enter the room, the maid thanks her mistress because of her, but then he interrupts and says that the lady returned very early today. The main character puts her hand on hers and says that she shouldn't have left her and then apologizes. The scientific one tells her mistress that it is not her fault because she is really fine and is already used to this. The main character claims that the girl is not to blame for anything and then asks what it means she's used to it. The young lady asks if Panthea has been beating Riani all this time. The maid is just silent. Then the lady with silver hair turns around and says that she will call the doctor to examine Riani. The maid says that you shouldn't do this, but Lesienne don't even listen to me. He'll be back soon. Then the maid says that the doctor might think that the lady did it. But the young lady says that the lady will just examine her, and she should just sit, after which she invites Riani to rest in her chambers. The maid asks how she can since her mistress herself has not yet recovered from her wound. When the young lady heads down the corridor to the doctor, she thinks that she will definitely protect Riani. At this time, the crown prince asks the duke if something happened because he accompanied Lady Horen to the carriage, and then asks what happened to him. The brunette says that he was simply surprised because the girl does not correspond to the rumors at all. The prince looks at his cup of tea and says that this is indeed really strange. After all, the girl was completely different from the one he had met before. Previously, she seemed obsessed and was constantly worried about something. She put everyone on edge and made them worry. Today, her look was completely different. The blonde claims that he doesn't know what happened to her, but she looked as if through him. The Duke says that she is perfect for the role of a bride, and he doesn't think that he should let her go so easily next time because no matter what rumors they want about her, she still remains the Count's daughter. The Crown Prince says that he is right. He needs to quickly visit the Count and notify him that his decision remains unchanged. At this time, the main character comes to her sister and she asks if she has a conversation. The young lady replies that it is exactly like that. She asserts with a serious expression that if she ever raises her hand against Riani again, she must be prepared for the consequences. The lady with red hair is shocked by such impudence. She says that it is better for Lei to prepare for the consequences, because how dare she open her impudent mouth. She also asks if she thinks she can continue to do whatever she wants. The main character says that she will have to say now, and claims that if she does not cancel the wedding with the crown prince, then the girl will be the first to lose her head. Panthea asks what she is talking about and how dare she blackmail her with this. But the young lady only claims that this is the first and last warning. The sister screams as if some brat dares to point her out and says that she will go to her father right away. But the main character doesn't let her finish and grabs her by the neck. She says how thin the young lady's neck is. It seems like it could break with one wrong move. After which, with a furious look, he says that she was a good girl, and then she will remain intact. Then she lets go of her neck. The lady with red hair is shaking all over and wondering what the hell and whether her sister was always so scary. The girl thinks that the look of the lady with silver hair used to give goosebumps. The main character comes out of peace with her sister, and I think that for a while she will calm down, but she no longer has any trump cards up her sleeve. If the wedding with the crown prince really takes place, then she will have to plunge into eternal sleep. So despite the fact that this is an excellent excuse for blackmail, she needs to quickly decide something with Panthea. A little time later, the maid embellishes her mistress and claims that the crown prince himself came to them, and apparently he really missed the young lady. The main character asks if she has to dress up like that. Riani claims that this is necessary because now her mistress looks simply magnificent. The lady with amber eyes says that if she's done, they can go. After which, Lei comes in and is greeted by His Highness and the Count. The Count asks what kind of formalities this is and offers to call him father. Well, the main character claims that she doesn't want to. Then the Count interrupts her and says that as the prince can see, his daughter zealously observes etiquette even at home. The blonde claims that the girl is really well brought up. The blonde says that he understands, and that she is very different from the girl he met a couple of days ago. The lady with silver hair understands perfectly well that the more mistakes she makes, the easier it will be to use her when she becomes his wife. Because the crown prince has only one goal, to use it to destroy the count. Therefore, to begin with, the young lady needs to make sure that he needs her, because at the moment this is her only safety net. The young lady decides to see why the prince came. The Count says that His Highness came to him personally when he heard that Lei wanted to call off the engagement. Lara with amber eyes says that everything is true, and that's what she wants, and she didn't think that the wedding could really take place. The Count asks why she said such nonsense to His Highness. The Crown Prince turns to the Count and says that he thinks it would be better if they discuss this with Lady Lei alone, because in fact, they never finished that conversation. The Count wants to return it. But the main character interrupts him and says that she doesn't want to upset them, but there's nothing more to talk about. The blonde asks what this means, and the main character calmly says that she thought about everything again and decided that a wedding is wonderful. She says that she hopes His Highness can forget everything he said to her that day. And then she looks at him and asks if he really can. The Count and Crown Prince are shocked by this. The blonde grins and asks if the lady decided to play with him. He asks if she understands that words so easily spoken by her can be regarded as an insult to the royal family. His Highness frowns a little and thinks that the girl cannot know his true goal, and also wonders if she is sure that he will insist on marriage if she is accused of insulting the royal family. Then, opponents of marriage will come out. But the main character only asks how it could be otherwise, and tells His Highness that she was guilty. After which she claims that if she thinks about it, the wedding scares her because suddenly she will be executed. The prince understands that Lei Ouran is very smart. He finds it funny because the girl is clearly thinking about something and is going through all the options, but while she is stalling for time, he decides to direct her suspicions in the right direction. The blonde says that this is a really serious decision, and he can understand Milady's hesitation, but he will not listen to any more requests to cancel the wedding. The main character only claims with a serious expression that she doesn't think he understands her. The Duke watches all this, and the main character continues. She says that she doesn't know, and maybe His Highness should just listen to her whims, after which she asks what about setting at least an approximate wedding date. The blonde asks what she's talking about, and he thinks that she changes the topic of conversation as she pleases. The main character asks if he doesn't like her proposal because she thinks that if she knew at least the approximate date, she would calm down. His Highness says that it is easy to arrange as he would like to hold the wedding as soon as possible, and he himself thinks what the lady with silver hair is up to. Therefore, the young man asks whether the Count agrees with this decision, and he claims that he will simply follow the choice of His Highness. The blonde says that if the Count has a suitable date in mind, he will be glad to listen to him. The main character's father says that if you take into account the official announcement and the banquet, then everything can be arranged in a month. The Crown Prince says it's not bad. The main character is not very happy with this and asks if anyone is interested in her opinion. Well, they just continue to discuss the details of the wedding. The prince says that then it is necessary to prepare invitations for the nobility, and it would be nice to hold the banquet in the royal palace. The young lady turns to His Highness. She apologizes and says that it seems that Togo is having a wedding not with her but with the Count. The girl claims that she does not agree and does not want the wedding to take place in a month. The Duke can't help but chuckle. Then the main character looks at him and in her thoughts asks if he's funny. The brunette turns around and clears his throat. The father asks Lucien what kind of childishness is this, because a wedding after all is also a union of two families, and if she continues to behave like this. But the Crown Prince tells the Count to wait. He turns to the main character and asks when she wanted to have a wedding, because it seems she has the desired date in mind. The silver-haired lady says that His Highness is very perceptive and claims that she wants to arrange the wedding in a year. She sighs with some sarcasm and asks if His Highness expected to hold the wedding in a month. The girl says yes and asks if it's too much to have a wedding in a year. The Count understands that it does not seem that the girl is trying to provoke only the prince because this phrase was addressed to him. The father understands that the girl is hinting that if he does not do as she says, she will do something again, like when she intended to hurt herself to blackmail him. The Count understands that he has been waiting for this day for so long, and the wedding must take place no matter what. He turns to His Highness and says that it turns out that his reign is still not ready for such a responsible step, and also asks whether it would be better to give her a little time. Perhaps there is no need to rush so much because it hurts him to look at her constant worries. The blonde says that they can do as they wish, and the main thing is that they have decided, but he also says that he also has conditions. The main character thinks what the hell condition he has and asks about it. The blonde says that before that they must get engaged. The girl claims that she certainly agrees and thinks that it will be wonderful to hold the ceremony in about 6 months. She thinks that since the prince went to meet her, she will also do him a favor, and now she has nothing to worry about. She looks at the young man and realizes that she has achieved her goal. The main character plans to settle everything in 6 months, and if it still doesn't work out, then she will still have enough time before the wedding. And in the worst case, everything will be decided after it. The prince says that a solution has been found, and they have decided on the main dates, so you think that we can end there. The Count claims that he has come a long way and offers to spend some time alone with Lucien. The young man thinks that he is quite satisfied with these dates, so he says that today is enough, because now there is not much. But the main character does not let him talk, and asks the Count what he is talking about because the prince is terribly busy. The blonde doesn't understand what she's talking about, but the lady with silver hair continues. She tells the prince to quickly return to the palace because he still has to console the Lady Scarron. She must be so upset. The girl says how painful it will be for her to find out that the man she loves has promised to marry someone else. The Duke is almost laughing out loud, and the prince tells Stefan to stop laughing. And the lady with silver hair continues and tells the prince to spend this time usefully with Lady Scarron. After the crown prince leaves, the Count tells his daughter that she was very cold, and it would be nice if she showed her best sides to her future husband. He also claims that you shouldn't get on his nerves because it could backfire on her. The main character just turns around and says that this could backfire not on her but on the Count, and it wouldn't hurt for him to take a couple of acting lessons. The Count looks at her and thinks that let her have fun while she can see as soon as he achieves his goal, she and her future husband will bow before him. When the lady with amber eyes returns to her chambers, Riani meets her there. The maid asks if something happened because she heard that the crown prince had already left. The main character asks why she is worried and what could happen, and after that she invites her maid to take a walk. She claims she wants to unwind a little, after which they go outside. The main character and her maid walk into a bar. Well, all the people there start whispering. One of them asks if this is a lady from a rich family, and the other wonders what she forgot there. The young lady thinks, why are they all staring, then asks Riani if she drinks. The maid at first doesn't understand what she means, and then says that she doesn't have to order anything. But with her wide eyes, they say that she simply doesn't want to drink alone. So she decides to order something non-alcoholic. Then she asks Riani if she is hungry and decides to order food. When food and drink are brought to the table, the maid asks if her mistress will be engaged first. The main character says that yes, and that's how it happened. She claims that in the near future, she will have a lot of things to do even without a wedding. She also says how delicious the food is in the hotel eatery and suggests that her maids come there more often. After which, the girl drinks a glass of booze and says how good it is because nothing lifts the mood better than a good drink. Riani tells her mistress to drink slowly. The main character is immersed in her thoughts. She realizes that she still has so much to do and everything is not going according to plan. She thought it would be easy to call off the engagement, but if this continued, ball practice would also have to be postponed. It becomes too difficult for her to adapt to sudden changes. Suddenly, someone turns to them and asks them if the ladies would like to have a drink with them. The girl understands that she must urgently settle everything and live freely, but everything is already annoying her to hell. One of the guys looks out from the diner and screams that they have a problem. The guy with ruby hair asks what happened, and the other guy screams that there is a fight in the tavern and suddenly something crazy. The young man does not let him finish and asks what kind of fight there is. At this time, the main character knocks the dagger out of the hands of the strangers who attacked her. She asks what he allows himself. The guy with ruby hair says that the girl has the right reaction. The main character is already a little furious and asks who it is. But the young man only asks if the girl is not of noble blood and says that this is very interesting. The main character once again asks who he is. The guy claims that he is the owner of that establishment, and she doesn't need to know the rest. The young lady claims that she was not interested in this. She only asks why the hell he is interfering. The young man is a little shocked and points to a couple of guys lying behind him and claims that this may be why, because in any case it is forbidden to start fights in this establishment, although the guys look like they got what they deserved. The young man takes out a sword and claims that if someone breaks those rules, then he is torn into pieces and thrown out as dog food. She also says that thank God her mistress is okay. The main character smiles and says that if she wasn't sure of victory, she wouldn't get into a fight. Riani, hearing this, immediately stands in front of her mistress and screams to better finish her off. The silver-haired lady tells her maid that everything is fine, and the young man asks if this is true, because if so, he will do it somehow. The guy is already swinging his sword. Riani closes her eyes in fear, but when she opens them, she is a little surprised. Her mistress protects her from the sword. The main character thinks how infuriating this is. The guy with ruby hair says that not only speed is good but also strength, so he asks who the lady is. But the main character only tells Riani to hide behind her back. The girl thinks what to do. She is very worried about her mistress. The maid looks at her and thinks what she should do because she is completely useless. So she grabs the hilt of the sword and thinks that she should at least try to help her, but the lady with amber eyes only asks Riani what she is doing, and the girl tells her mistress that she is helping. The main character tells the one that everything is fine and there is no danger there, so she should just hide behind her. The young man can no longer contain his laughter. He asks what the ladies are doing there. He wipes away his tears and says how funny it is, then asks why they are reacting like that because he was just joking. But the main character says that if he really is not going to fight, then they will go. The young man asks if she will really run away and also wonders if he is really that good, after which he asks if she can at least tell him her name. But the lady with amber eyes says that if it weren't for her maid, he would no longer be alive, so let him go to hell. The guy with ruby hair says that it turns out there are some very interesting people in their kingdom, and what a pity that she left, because he would have talked more. After they leave, the young lady asks Riani if she is okay, and if she was scared, the maid says everything is fine. Well, from now on, she promises to be more careful and also tells Riani not to do this again because she could get hurt. The brown-haired woman apologizes and says that she will no longer get in the way. Lady Sushi with ridged hair says that's not what she's talking about. Li Xian claims that he really doesn't want the maid to get hurt because she's already suffered because of her all this time. Riani says that if the lady is in danger, then she will, but the main character only puts her finger in front of her and says that it is right that she is the mistress here, so the girl should obey her. After which, the young lady turns around and says that it's already dark, so it's time for them to return. She also blames those guys because they ruined all the fun for her. The maid tries to say something to her mistress, but she only says that if Riani does not hurry, she will leave her there. The maid runs up to her mistress and invites her to go along. But for some reason, the main character feels danger. She looks into the alley and wonders if it could be one of those who was in the tavern. But the one who comes out of the alley turns out to be one of those whom the young lady has already seen. He asks where he is coming from so late. The main character asks Stefan if it is, and he says that the girl is very careless, then asks whether it is possible to want without protection at such a time. The lady with silver hair just spreads her hands and asks if he was following her. The brunette approaches her and claims that he will take her to the count's estate, but the lady with amber eyes says that it's not worth it, especially since he is well aware of her skills. But Stefan only says that he will. Then the main character asks if he is worried about her, and the young man says, "Isn't it obvious colleagues ask why?" But the guy only says that his heart tells him so. The silver-haired lady sarcastically thinks she knows what his heart tells him to do. She asks the guy because she will soon become the wife of the crown prince. The brunette claims that too. He asks Lady Lesienne if it is so strange that he is worried about her. The young lady claims that this is exactly so because he is the first, besides Riani, who worries about her. Stefan says that this is already strange. The guy thinks that the count's daughter is saying that only her maid takes care of her. He says that if the lady is really interested for some reason, he will tell. The guy turns to her and says that he is interested in her. The lady with silver hair is shocked. She asks what he just said, and then if he is sane, he says yes. The lady with amber eyes asks if he meant that he would be interested in watching her life go to hell because she has no time for games. The brunette just laughs and asks how she could think such a thing, and then claims that his interest is very unusual, so she should calm down. Then Li Xian calms down. She says that if he meant that they could become friends, then she is all for it. The girl thinks that this is for the best, because he is close to the crown prince, and if she can win him over to her side, then he can help her a lot. Then the young man with a slight blush on his face asks if they are friends now. The main character says yes. After this, the guy asks why Lady Li Xian changed her mind about the wedding again. The main character claims that there was a need for it. The guy asks if she wants to take the throne, but the young lady replies that she wouldn't agree to go there just like that and not even for any money. Then the guy asks why she changed her mind about the wedding. The lady with silver hair says that it's necessary and he shouldn't bother himself, because if she could, she wouldn't marry the prince. The brunette grins and says that if the situation and her feelings change and she also wants to cancel the wedding, he will help. The lady with amber eyes didn't think she would hear this from him. Then she asks if he will retract his words. The guy claims that of course he won't do this, although he doesn't know how he can be useful. After this, the main character thanks him for seeing him off and wishes him good night. Stefan says goodbye to her and realizes that she is completely unshakable. Perhaps this is because she is honest and incredibly straightforward, but he behaves like a complete idiot around her. But the guy is glad that he was able to spend the evening with Li Xian. When the main character returns to the estate, Riani says that she thinks her mistress really liked that guy. The girl asks if he is really in love with her mistress, but the main character just gives her a clicker and asks what she's talking about since they only met a couple of times. The girl understands that this cannot happen to someone who could become a duke, but something still bothers her. She fell for the fact that he offered to help, but the wedding of her son with one prince is not something that can be canceled with someone's help, and the guy probably blurted it out just like that. But when the main character enters her room, she sees Bane there. He asks where she was. The lady with silver hair asks why he is even in her bedroom and what is going on. The guy asks if she thinks that he came because he missed her, and also why the hell the prince's bride is hanging around with another man at such a time. The young lady asks what the problem is, because now there is also a man standing in front of her. The young man says that he is actually her brother, but the main character only asks how long it's been with him. A guy with red hair with a serious expression on his face tells her to stop distorting. He tells her not to dare to discredit the name of their family and also to behave appropriately, after which he asks if he expressed himself clearly. The main character just grins, after which she says that she is not going to become the Duke's wife because they accidentally ran into each other on the street and he wanted to accompany her with Riani. Lesienne says that she will take care of herself, so he should stop his hysterics. The guy claims that of course he knew that she was a complete idiot, but the main character doesn't let him finish and tells him to watch his language. After all, as he said, she is the bride of the crown prince, and if she wants to take revenge on her family, he will not be able to do anything. Therefore, it would be better for him to behave like a good brother. Then, the lady with amber eyes asks if she expressed herself clearly and says that if he understood, then he should get lost because she is terribly tired. A young man with red hair wonders if she has gone completely off the rails because soon she will have to cover her filthy mouth. The main character plops down on the bed and thinks that she can finally be in silence for a little while. She is so tired because both at home and outside are a complete nightmare. The girl wonders if she really was born there because she doesn't look a bit like them. The young lady decides to get some sleep. She wakes up early in the morning and heads to the dining room. Her sister and brother look at her with contempt but cannot say anything. The count asks if she has arrived and then tells her to sit down. Lesienne thinks what an impudent man he is because he behaves completely differently. The lady with amber eyes greets her brother and says that they have met again. The father asks, "Isn't it obvious that they see each other every day because they are a family? Therefore, I wonder why she is so surprised." The main character says that of course it is, but there are boundaries that even family members must respect. The count asks what she means. The lady with silver hair is just about to sit down at the table and claims that yesterday her dear brother came to her chambers late at night and apparently he had some urgent business with her. The guy claims that everything is wrong, and he just saw her returning with the Duke late at night, so he told her to be more careful in future. The main character says that he should watch his words because he looks like they suspect the Duke. In addition, she asks if it is normal to break into her chambers at such a time. The count says that Lesienne is right. Even though she is his younger sister, she is still the crown prince's fiancée. The guy says that he understood his father. Lesienne wants to say something. The main character eats calmly and asks what he wants to say. The father claims that a ball will take place soon, and at it they plan to officially announce their engagement. The lady with silver hair wonders what kind of ball this is and asks if it is necessary. She understands that a good score is not easy to organize. An official statement is a guarantee that she will not spoil anything. The count also adds that he thinks the girl should take a few etiquette lessons, because soon she will become the wife of the prince's heir, and it will be terrible if she continues to behave the same way as now. He also says that it is worth ordering new dresses for the ball, and says that if his daughter needs something else, then she just has to say, but the main character says that he should just give her money. The father sighs and says that he has indeed cut her budget a little lately, so he agrees. The lady with her script eyes thinks that she just blurted it out and wonders if he's joking. But then she jumps up from the table and claims that she will gladly accept his money, and if that's all, then she will go. But the count says that it turns out he was just reminding her of good manners. But the main character lies back and claims that she can behave decently when she really needs it. The father says that he warned her and warns her that God forbid she throws something away, but the girl is already slamming the doors. The main character looks into her wardrobe and thinks that it would be a shame to just throw these outfits away, and she also doesn't think that she can earn much by selling them. But the girl understands that she can remove the jewelry from them and try to sell them separately. Riani asks if her mistress wants to sell all these outfits. The lady with amber eyes says yes because the count said that we need to order a new dress for the ball, but it would be a pity to throw away the old ones. So Lesienne asks his maid where she can sell the jewelry. The maid answers that there is one shop where they buy various jewelry. Then the young lady smiles and says that it is wonderful, after which she asks Riani if she will take her there. After which, they come to this shop, and the main character puts the jewelry on the table. She claims she would like to exchange it all for cash. The shop owner says that of course he will do it. But unfortunately, now he doesn't have enough money to pay her for all this beauty. And if the girl gives him a day, who can he arrange everything properly? The guy asks if she agrees. The main character did not expect that they were so expensive, and if she had known, she would have simply run away grabbing a couple. Then the girl turns around and claims that she will return the next day. The seller asks if she is the daughter of Count Hurin and says that everything is wonderful, and he wrote it down. The lady with amber eyes comes out with a smile. She is happy to believe she will have money with which she can buy even more weapons. Well, suddenly she meets a familiar face. This is the same guy with ruby hair. He asks why the young lady needs so much money. But the main character just comes past him and asks if they know each other. The young man is surprised. He says that their meeting yesterday was so hot, and she forgot everything. The lady with silver hair says that he apparently likes it hotter. The guy says that of course it is, so I ask if the girl thinks the same. But the main character only turns to the owner of the shop and asks if he has a few matches, because she would like to start a small fire. The young man with ruby hair understands that this girl is really crazy and wonders if she wants to finish him off. But he understands that she really is completely different from the girl the tavern workers were discussing. He remembers that they said that the young lady was rather stupid and cruel. And this is not just the opinion of one person. Everyone has had this opinion about her for quite a long time. The guy wonders if everyone has been wrong all this time. The young man turns to the main character and asks if she has a double. The lady with silver hair says that it sounds like he knows her, so she asks if he asked about her on the sly. The guy says that she is quite quick-witted. He doesn't know why, but the rumors about her seem true to me. The young man is interested because it seems to him that she knows about all the things that are said about her. The lady with silver hair says that he managed to find out a lot in a day, and he seems to have talent. The guy says that at least someone appreciated him. Then the main character says that she will continue. She points the finger at him and claims that the guy is just an infuriating jerk, after which he turns around and tells Rayani that they are leaving. But the guy follows them up and asks why she's doing this, because he didn't do anything. The lady with amber eyes wonders how he got it, but she can't kill him. The young man with ruby hair says that you shouldn't do that. He admits that yesterday he went a little too far, but insists that this will not happen again. The main character asks if he thinks that she will believe him, but the guy just holds out his hand and claims that he never lies. The young lady doesn't really believe him and says that it is rather doubtful. But he only adds with a slight blush that he is interested in the young lady. He claims that they say if she gets along with him, then life will get better. And who knows, maybe she might need help. The main character is already stretching out her hand to show him the middle finger. But she decides that she needs to calm down because she already has enough enemies. She says that yesterday he was waving a sword, and today she says that he is interested in her. The girl claims that he quickly changed his shoes and asks if he himself is laughing. The young man wants and says that yesterday he was not aware that she was so special, and now everything has changed. The lady with amber eyes claims that she would not refuse if he could help her in any way, but now she does not think that she wants to continue communication. Then, the guy with ruby hair asks in shock if this means that she will not accept his help and friendship. The main character agrees with this. But the guy doesn't give up and says that it all sounds like the young lady really needs someone's help, and isn't it reckless to expose her weaknesses like that? He asks, what if he tries to find out more about it? But the young lady wonders what he's talking about and claims that she has nothing to hide, and then asks why he thought that she was hiding something. But the guy just turns around and claims that it doesn't matter, and then says that they will see each other again. The main character thinks what an idiot he is and tells Riani that they are leaving. A young man with ruby hair walks into the chorus. But he himself thinks what the hell this is, because he understands that someone is watching him, but this stranger is a master of hiding. This turns out to be Duke Stefan. He wonders who the hell this guy is. The main character goes further, and the maid asks her mistress if she is okay. The lady with silver hair asks why she is interested. And the maid says that the same guy offered her help, but the young lady says that she has no desire to get close to him. She pats her maid on the head and tells her not to worry because she is not going to ask him for help. Riani sighs and says that's good. The main character at this time thinks that she doesn't remember that there was anything about that guy in the book. The girl thinks that he is too harmless to worry about it well. She still can't trust him. The lady with amber eyes sighs. And then he says to Riani that they haven't been anywhere for a long time and offered to have a snack somewhere. The girl claims that she doesn't want to eat with people she can't even see because this immediately makes her lose her appetite. The maid says that if she wants to, they can go somewhere and the main character is happy that she will finally eat. After that, they find some kind of eatery and the main character looks at the menu. The maid tells her mistress that she doesn't have to order anything. But the young lady claims that they will eat together, but Riani says that she is a maid after all, after which the main character puts his hand on hers. She claims that the girl is not just a servant, but also her friend, and her friend always eats together. The brown-haired woman is very moved by this. Her eyes even seem to glow. But suddenly, someone moves the next chair away and asks to forgive him. This is Duke Stefan. He asks if the ladies don't mind if he can join them. The main character asks how he ended up there. But the brunette only claims that he was just passing by and saw them. The young lady tells him to sit down and also says he doesn't have to speak to her so formally. The guy claims that he follows etiquette regardless of a person's position, but he thinks it's a good idea. Previously, the main character was a little annoyed that he seemed to be stalking her and constantly trying to talk to her, but now he seems like a good person to her. At this moment, the waiter brings their order. The Duke looks at all these dishes. He asks if the young lady is going to have lunch with the maid. The main character looks at him a little with contempt and asks what is wrong and whether the maid is also a person. The brunette claims that's not what he meant. Then the young lady with amber eyes turns to the Duke. After he responds, she asks him a question about whether he will pay for himself. The brunette smiles and says that he is now thinking about having the lady with silver hair treat him. He says that the girl is always so straightforward and he really likes it. The main character says that he is also very honest and she likes him more and more. The guy hearing this blushes and with a sincere smile says that he is glad to hear this, les siennes. Such a sight is already blinding because the Duke is such a handsome man. Stefan asks what the young lady is doing in the city center, and she replies that there were some things to do. Beer Unette says that in fact, some time ago, he saw her with a certain man. The main character asks if he was following her. The young man says that of course not, and that he was simply in that area on his own business, but that's why the man looked suspicious. But the lady with silver hair doesn't let him finish, and says that if it was just recently, who should he be talking about? That guy who was talking nonsense nonstop. The main character asks why he seems suspicious to the Duke. Stefan says he's not sure, but he smelled dangerous. The young lady says he just smelled crazy, and overall she doesn't think she should worry about him. The Duke laughs and says that's good, but they wonder if they can ask how they met him. Lysiane says that she doesn't even know how to say it, because she didn't think about why he was pursuing her, and the guy was behaving quite strangely. The Duke asks if this is all. The young lady answers, and you say that he has not yet answered her question about whether he will pay for himself. The brunette says that not really. He says that he will pay not only for his order, but for them too. The main character sighs and says that she has to agree. After which he straightens his lock of hair and thanks the Duke for dinner. About thoughts you add that thanks to him, she will have lunch and save money. The young man is again embarrassed by this, and the main character does not understand why it is him. Then the main character looks at the dishes and asks why Riani isn't eating. The maid just waves her hands, but she herself thinks how beautiful her sport is. The girl claims that they will eat like this until closing time, so she tells the Duke to chew at a pace. The brunette agrees but asks how long she plans to call him Duke. The girl asks what else she should call him if he really is a Duke. The guy asks if they haven't decided to be friends, and if so, shouldn't they call each other by name? The silver-haired lady claims that this is true and calls the Duke by name. Then the guy responds and also calls the girl by name. The main character says that now they look like friends, but she herself thinks that only he pronounces such an affectionate name. After this, the main character once again thanks Stefan for lunch, and he says that there is no reason for her to offer to take them there. The main thing of the game doesn't say that you shouldn't because it's still light, so everything is in order. Then the brunette sighs and agrees, and then he says goodbye. The main character walking along the road thinks that if Bane sees Stefan, then she cannot even imagine what he will do this time. Well, suddenly the realization comes to her that maybe she should ask Stefan to practice swords with her. In any case, it is useless to do this alone, and she needs a good teacher. The Agraf should not find out about anything. Then the girl remembers if Stefan is not the head of security in the royal palace. She thinks that he can take her to the training halls well when the girl turns around to ask him about it. Togo is no longer there. The lady with silver hair understands that he has already left. She wonders whether he will be able to fulfill her request. When the lady with silver hair returns to the estate, her father stops her on the way to her room and asks where she has been all this time, because didn't he tell her to behave properly? The main character claims that she went to the center, but the count says that he asked her to prepare for tomorrow's ball, and he also asks if the crown prince sent a letter saying that he will accompany her. The main character gets angry at this and says that she didn't receive anything. Father says that the ball is tomorrow, but His Highness still hasn't sent a letter. The main character says that apparently this is so. But her father just screams whether she has been sitting with her hands folded all this time and is going to go to the ball in splendid isolation. The lady with amber eyes asks how she knew what she should tell him. The count says that at least Bane should accompany her, and his son agrees. The father puts his hand on his face and claims that of course he knew that his daughter was not very smart, but he didn't think that she was that smart. The main character asks what he just said, and the maid tries to take her away and tells her mistress that the dress is already ready, and they should quickly go and look. After the young lady tries on this dress, the maid claims that she said that the dress for the ball should be richly decorated. Looking at the main character, she says that it suits her very well. The lady with silver hair thinks didn't she ask to make it as simple as possible? She asks her stylist if she's sure it's simple, but the woman says that even simple dresses should look chic. Riani. You say that it will work its way through for now. Well, suddenly someone comes into the room and asks where the dress for the ball is. It turns out to be Panthea. She asks what it is, and if it is called a dress, she also states that she expected more, and then says that it looks very old-fashioned. The lady with her amber eyes asks if she has said everything, but she just continues and asks if her sister has forgotten that it is she who is opening the ball. This ball will help her strengthen her position, and it is very important. The main character says that maybe, but it's stupid to rely only on the beauty of the dress. The lady with red hair says how pathetic Lucien is. Well, in any case, there is no time to choose a new dress, and you can try to fix everything with the help of accessories. She asks if the girl picked out anything for the ball, but the main character claims that this is all and asks why she should express herself. Panthea says that if she has not prepared anything, then she can lend her something. Although the girl is a pitiful imitation of a sister, she as an older sister must help her. The lady with silver hair does not understand why this disgusting concern is needed, because this girl cannot lend her something for nothing. But if she refuses, she will probably get on her nerves. The girl with red hair says that she will pass it on through the servants, and Lucien must return it after the ball, because it is very dear to her, so she should be more careful. The lady with amber eyes thinks that they should lend it to her if it is so dear to her. The maid asks her mistress if everything will be okay because she can return him right away. But the main character claims that everything is fine, and she promises that she will try not to create problems. Sometime later, the maid informs Madame Lucien that Madame Panthea sent her a necklace. The main thing is that Gray says to leave it in the box. The young lady decides to put on her necklace first, and if Panthea appears, she will simply change them. She still doesn't understand why she needs this. The maid informs her mistress that it's time to go to the palace. Then the main character gets up and heads there. On the way, she thinks that there would be a lot of food there. But when she opens the door, she sees Stefan in front of her. He extends his hand to her and claims that he has arrived on the orders of the crown prince, and also asks if he can accompany her today. The lady with silver hair says that she will be only too glad. She also says that she did not know that he was coming because she was not notified. The brunette claims that the order was given by the crown prince personally, and the letter may have been delivered to the count, but today the young lady looks simply amazing. Lucien thanks him for the compliment and says he looks great too. The guy claims that he is glad to hear this from her, but the young lady says he doesn't look very happy. The young man claims that it was a compliment, so of course he is happy. He hears posts like this 100 times a day, but he doesn't think he'll get tired of hearing it from her lips, so he asks her to say it more often. The girl says that they agreed, and she will compliment him every time he seems attractive to her. The brunette says that he will repay her in the same coin. The main character thinks this is wonderful, and thinks that the guy is really a pretty straightforward person. Then the girl notices that the carriage has been nailed down and invites Stefan to get into it. The guy agrees. He asks Licien to let him, but the main character does not listen and only walks past him. From the carriage, the girl already says that he shouldn't stand and that he should get in quickly because otherwise they will be late. The Duke says, of course, after which the main character asks him whether he received an order to accompany her. Stefan is trying to say something, but the young lady interrupts him and says that she doesn't think that he should be the one doing this. The guy says that she immediately saw through him and claims that he did not want to deceive her. Licien. She says that everything is fine, and she hopes that this will not anger His Highness when he sees that the guy is accompanying her. Besides, as far as she knows, they are close friends. The brunette says that despite the fact that they are friends, he would not want to turn a blind eye to the fact that His Highness left her unaccompanied, and lately he does not understand some of his actions at all.